Most people think their bedrooms are the safest places in their homes, but over the last decade, something strange has been happening. More and more people have become convinced that the everyday objects around them are secretly draining their energy, disrupting their sleep, or even messing with their bodies in ways they can't explain. It's become a modern obsession, a wave of fear that spreads faster than any medical study, because it taps directly into one of the deepest instincts we have, the fear of the invisible. When something makes us uncomfortable and we can't point to a clear cause, our brains fill in the blanks with whatever explanation feels the most mysterious. And that's exactly how this new era of bedroom danger myths was born. The truth is, your bedroom is filled with objects that look harmless, but have become the focus of rumors, conspiracy threads, late-night debates, and viral videos promising to expose the real danger. Sometimes the fear comes from old research, sometimes from outdated technology, sometimes from a bad misunderstanding that gets passed around until it becomes a belief. And sometimes the myth takes off simply because it's more exciting than the boring reality. But regardless of where these ideas came from, they spread for one reason. When you're lying in the dark at night, the quiet gives your mind a stage to invent possibilities you'd never think about during the day. Before we dive into the 5 bedroom objects that created the biggest waves of panic, there's something important to understand. These myths didn't survive because people are gullible. They survived because they made sense emotionally. They provided an explanation for exhaustion, anxiety, poor sleep, and weird nighttime sensations. When you don't sleep well, your mind searches for a culprit, and sometimes the closest glowing object wins. That's why the first item on this list became so infamous. Digital clocks have earned a strange reputation. Quiet, simple, and sitting right next to your head, they became an unexpected villain in thousands of online posts claiming they interfere with your brain, mess with your hormones, or radiate energy into your face while you sleep. The fear mostly centers around LED displays, those blue, green, or red numbers glowing through the dark. People swear that the light drains their melatonin or disrupts their sleep cycle in some mysterious way. And what's wild is that this rumor became so popular that entire companies began selling low radiation clocks to cash in on the fear. But here's where the story gets interesting. The myth didn't start with the clock itself. It started with the color of the clock. Early studies on blue light showed that exposure late at night could confuse your circadian rhythm, especially when shining directly into your eyes. A harmless finding, until it got picked up by health blogs, then passed through forums, then repeated by influencers who never read the original research. Eventually, people began treating blue light as if it was some kind of invisible biological enemy. And once that idea took hold, the digital clock, one of the only blue glowing objects people stared at in the dark, became a prime suspect. The truth is far less dramatic. Yes, bright displays can make falling asleep harder, but not because of mysterious energy waves. It's simply because your brain reads light as wakefulness. The myth stuck because it felt scientific. It used buzzwords like melatonin, sleep cycle, and light frequency. And when science sounds complicated, people assume it's groundbreaking. But the reason this rumor exploded is even simpler. Everyone owns a clock, and anything everyone owns becomes a perfect target for fear. But as dramatic as digital clocks became in internet lore, they weren't the myth that grew the fastest. That honor goes to the item sitting on nearly every nightstand in the modern world. If there is one object people love to blame for anything strange happening in their bedrooms, it's their smartphone, especially when it's plugged in. For years, posts have claimed that charging your phone next to your bed creates some kind of electrical overflow, energy leak, or sleep-draining signal storm. The idea spread across social media like wildfire. Some claim the phone heats up and affects your brain. Others insisted the electrical field from the charger creates a buzzing sensation you can't feel, but your body somehow responds to. And some went even further, arguing that the combination of electricity, Wi-Fi, and charging cycles creates a hidden force that interferes with your dreams. It sounds dramatic because it is dramatic, but that's why the rumor survived. When something glows by your bed, buzzes occasionally, vibrates, lights up with notifications, and tracks your life, your brain doesn't view it as a quiet object. It sees it as something alive, active, and unpredictable. Add the late-night anxiety of scrolling, the doom-filled news cycle, and the habit of checking messages at midnight, and people start linking their sleeplessness to whatever's closest. The phone becomes the villain. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's always demanding attention. The origin of this rumor came from a misunderstanding of electrical fields. People learned that chargers convert power, saw big scary diagrams online, and connected dots that shouldn't be connected. In reality, the biggest danger of charging your phone next to your bed has nothing to do with invisible fields. It's the psychological craving for stimulation, the constant pull to check notifications, and the habit of ending the day with a glowing screen inches from your face. But the myth felt more exciting than the truth. And that excitement only grew stronger when people began revisiting fears from another era. Fears involving warmth, wires, and electricity running through blankets. Electric heating pads and blankets became the center of some of the wildest bedtime rumors, all recycled from old warnings that were once true for a very small number of outdated models. The idea that electric warmth is somehow unnatural or dangerous spread quickly, mostly because it combined three ingredients that instantly trigger fear: heat, electricity, and close contact with your body. For many people, that was enough to imagine invisible risks emerging from the wiring, especially when older adults started talking about the heat making them feel off or foggy after long naps under one. What made this myth powerful wasn't the blanket itself, it was the memory of older electric blankets from decades ago. Those early models sometimes overheated, sometimes shorted out, and sometimes had safety issues that no modern product would ever pass. But that tiny piece of history evolved into an entire mythology, claiming that heated blankets affect brain waves, disturb energy flow, or weaken your aura. Once again, scientific words were sprinkled in just enough to make the story sound legitimate. And once someone hears a rumor that mixes heat and electricity, it becomes nearly impossible to shake. The truth is far more grounded. The real concern with older heating pads is simply overheating, especially for people with reduced sensitivity or mobility. The fear survived because it connected warmth to danger, wiring to risk, nostalgia to anxiety, and the bedroom to vulnerability. But as dramatic as this myth became, nothing compares to the rumors surrounding the next bedroom item. An object people stare at for hours without realizing it has been carrying a completely separate legacy of fear from a past technology few people even remember. Televisions carry a strange kind of superstition that never quite faded, even as the technology inside them transformed. Long before sleek, flat screens existed, people grew up hearing that old box-shaped TVs could leak X-rays if you sat too close, or pressed your face against the screen. Those warnings, repeated endlessly in public service announcements, in parenting advice, carved a permanent place in the collective memory. So even when modern TVs became completely different machines with entirely different components, that leftover fear stayed alive in the background of people's minds. When flat screens arrived, the internet took that old fear and gave it new life. Rumors started spreading that bedroom TVs emit radiation even when turned off, or send out signals that disrupt your energy field at night. Some posts insisted the standby light creates a constant disturbance, while others claimed that the internal circuits give off some kind of hidden frequency. Even though the original X-ray warnings were tied to long-abandoned technology, the idea was too dramatic to disappear. People blended old fears with new devices and created a myth that felt familiar, nostalgic, and terrifying all at once. But the real concern with bedroom TVs has nothing to do with invisible rays. It's the glow of the screen, the distracting habits they encourage, and the late-night binge episodes that push your sleep time further and further into the night. A bedroom TV is tempting, comforting, and always ready to play just one more episode, even when your exhausted body is begging for sleep. Still, the myth about radiation survived because the technology looked mysterious. The standby light, the dark screen with hidden electronics, the quiet hum. These small details feed the imagination, and that imagination reached a peak with the object that became the biggest target of bedroom panic. An item small enough to hide behind furniture, yet powerful enough to carry all the fears of the modern world. Wi-Fi routers became the internet's favorite villain for one simple reason: they represent invisible power. You can't see the signals, you can't feel them, and you can't control when they travel through the air to someone already anxious about sleep, devices, or modern technology. That invisible activity feels suspicious. Rumors began spreading that routers penetrate your body, weaken your energy, or age your cells overnight. The fear caught on because the language sounded scientific enough to be believable, especially when paired with diagrams of waves passing through walls or charts copied from studies that had nothing to do with home Wi-Fi. The rumor exploded when people started confusing Wi-Fi with microwaves simply because the frequency numbers look similar. That tiny misunderstanding fueled countless viral posts. Influencers took advantage of the confusion, mixing technical terms with dramatic warnings. Before long, the router became the symbol of modern danger. Even though its signals are far weaker than countless everyday sources of radio waves we've never thought twice about, the real issue hiding beneath the panic had nothing to do with the router's energy. It was the lifestyle that constant connectivity created. Late-night scrolling, overstimulation, endless notifications, and the mental strain of always being on call. What made the Wi-Fi myth so powerful wasn't the science, it was the mystery. The router sits quietly, blinking lights in the corner, always broadcasting something you can't see. Humans have always feared what they can't observe directly. The router simply became the newest canvas for that fear. But while people worried about invisible signals, they ignored the far more common and far more real bedroom problems that disrupt sleep every single night. These problems aren't mysterious, and they don't rely on invisible forces. They're simple, ordinary habits that slip under the radar because they don't feel dramatic. Light pollution is one of the biggest sleep disruptors in modern bedrooms. Even a small sliver of streetlight leaking through curtains or the soft glow from electronics can subtly confuse your brain's internal clock. Most people overlook it because the light is faint, but your body still registers it. Temperature is another silent thief of rest. Many bedrooms are slightly too warm without people realizing it, keeping the body from reaching deep, restorative sleep. Ventilation plays a surprisingly large role too. Stale, warm air makes you wake up more often, even if you don't remember doing it. Then there's the clutter effect, something people rarely associate with sleep. A messy bedroom creates mental noise. The brain interprets a chaotic space as unfinished business, making it harder to fully wind down. Micro noises are another overlooked culprit. A refrigerator kicking on in the distance, pipes settling, distant traffic, a neighbor's sounds you don't consciously notice can still chip away at sleep quality. And perhaps the most powerful disruptor of all, stress. The constant buzz of modern life doesn't fade just because you turn off the lights. People fall asleep thinking about tomorrow's tasks, yesterday's problems, or the messages they didn't answer. This tension blends with every small environmental factor until it becomes a recipe for restless nights. What's fascinating is how quickly people blame invisible forces instead of these ordinary habits. Myths grow strong because they offer dramatic explanations for everyday problems. They turn a simple night of bad sleep into a story filled with mystery. They provide answers that feel exciting, even if they're not true. And once these myths enter the online world, they grow even faster. A single dramatic post can reach millions of people in a matter of hours. Add a few out-of-context charts, a spooky headline, and a photo of someone sleeping next to a glowing device, and suddenly a myth becomes an internet fact. The spread of these stories is fueled by a mix of curiosity, confusion, and fear. Some creators use alarming language because it keeps viewers glued to the screen. Others misinterpret scientific research and pass it on without realizing the damage. And in many cases, the people who share these myths are just trying to help, repeating things they believe will keep others safe. The cycle continues because fear travels faster than nuance, and mystery always gets more clicks than the straightforward explanation. But beneath the rumors, there's an important lesson. People often focus on the wrong threats because the real ones are too ordinary to capture attention. A router isn't sabotaging your sleep, but staying up late, scrolling through social media might be. Your digital clock isn't weakening your brain, but staring at bright screens before bed can push your natural sleep rhythm off track. Your TV isn't sending out invisible waves, but binge watching until 2 a.m. absolutely affects how you feel the next day. The danger was never the object. It was how the object changed your habits. When you understand why these myths spread, you start to see the bedroom differently. You notice how small habits stack on top of each other. You see how fear shapes perception, and you realize how many stories we accept simply because they sound intriguing. The next time you hear a rumor about something in your room causing invisible harm, take a step back and ask where the story came from. Was it a misunderstanding? A leftover myth from another era? A dramatic headline designed to get attention? Or maybe, just maybe, it was a distraction from the very real habits that matter far more. If anything in this video made you rethink the strange rumors you've heard, share the one that stuck with you the longest. Everyone has a myth they grew up believing, and the more we talk about them, the easier it becomes to separate bedtime mystery from bedtime reality.